Welcome back to another episode of the Two Hats Podcast. This is episode number 15. I'm your host, Chris, the Tactical Probation Officer, and my beautiful co-host
is Brittany, your favorite PO.
And we have a great interview for you guys today. We have Raquel. She was a probation officer in Georgia, and she has now just got hired to be a probation and parole officer in the state of Louisiana. So we've got we've got some really good experience here that we can share with her family. Plus, I know she really wants to go talk about the hiring process that she just went through down there in Louisiana. And I know that's something that Brittany loves to ask everyone about. Because, with this family, we have a lot of people that are trying to get into the field of community supervision, and they always want to know. So since you were an officer in Georgia, I guess we'll start with that, and we'll say on the two hat scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being a social worker and 10 being a law enforcement officer, from when you were an officer in Georgia, how would you say your department fell on the two hat scale?
So I would definitely say they fell on about a 9, 10-ish at that particular department.
On the law enforcement side?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, we definitely have to talk about that some more. So the follow-up to that is, for you, how did you fall on the scale?
Well, since I was in traffic division, I probably was more of maybe a 4 or 5-ish, maybe.
What made you interested in this profession to begin with?
All right, so I have always been a person that's always been like to help people. I'm just passionate about helping people, and probation just seemed like the perfect fit for me, because before probation, I was working as a corrections officer in a jail. So it was only so much that, you can't really help them. You just got to follow the guidelines that are set in place for them. And it was cool. I enjoyed it because there was different stuff you see every day, but it wasn't for me. And when I looked into probation, it was more of what I personally feel like it was fit just for me. And the fact that I'm just passionate about helping others and want to see people succeed and giving people second chances and hoping that they'll take that second chance and do something with it. So
what's your degree in?
So it's in criminal justice. I have a bachelor's and a master's both in criminal justice.
Okay, so from out of the gate, you already knew you wanted to be in the criminal justice field. That's interesting.
Yes, I just didn't know what I really wanted to do until I started really just seeing what there was to do in criminal justice. And so from working in a jail, I was like, well, let me see what else is there to do. And then I came across probation, tried to talk to different people, but in Louisiana, it's like nobody really knows about probation because it's not too many probation officers that I guess we are connected to. So it's like you have to find out information on your own. And then even when you reach out to the departments, it's real bland information. So it make you feel like you kind of stuck, don't know who to reach out to or who to talk to. So yeah.
So you're from Louisiana?
Yes, I'm from.
Okay.
Yeah. I had ended up in Georgia just for a change of scenery, just to, get out, see what else was out there, and ended up coming across probation, which was the hiring process in probation in Georgia. What I went through was totally different from this process in Louisiana.
How so?
So when I was with the cab, basically they didn't have an online paper information or online application. It was paper. So you have to go up there, pretty much ask if they were hiring. And they was like, yeah, you're hiring. Here's the application. So it was the application they gave you, paper application. Take it, fill it out, bring it back. Then what was she? She was the human resources person, but she had another name. But basically, turn your information into her, and she was the contact person throughout the whole process. So it took I turned my application in May. It was about, I want to say maybe January-ish, I turned it in. And then it took them 2 months to get back to me. about the interview. So then I got the interview, and then after the interview, I think it took like another 4 months. Hey, we decided that we're gonna go ahead and hire you. So it wasn't like no psych evaluation, no drug test that they did or anything, no agility test. It was just the interview with like, I felt like it was the whole probation department in the interview in the panel. And then after that it was like, hey, you're hired. We're gonna hire you for a traffic division, which basically in Georgia, if you get a traffic ticket and you cannot pay it or any type of traffic offense, they automatically place you on probation. So everybody that I dealt with, yes. So everybody so so everybody that I dealt with, came in hand with, was some type of traffic offense. So if you had people that was like super speeding, they had to take the little in Louisiana we call it like it's like those classes that you take for speeding, like those teenage classes, like DWI classes.
Defensive driving?
Yeah, defensive driving classes. And like the class, I forgot what you call it, but it's pretty much like the class that show you these young teenagers that's driving from high speeds and dying, and basically it's a video to help you stop speeding. But these people get in the class and be like, this, it don't affect me, and they just do it because they know they have to do it, and then go about their business. But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do they have all the other conditions of probation too, like not drinking, that type of? What?
Yeah.
For a traffic offense? That's crazy.
Yes. So we had to read them, the rules and regulation of probation. While when they at court, judge send them to probation. So they come out the courtroom, and we had like a little desk that was set up outside the courtroom where we had to sign them up, write everything out by hand, and then read them. Right after we write everything up by hand, it was like 4 or 5 papers. Then we asked them if they want to do the community service or work off the fine if that was on the paper. And most of the time, they always said that they would pay off the fine, but they never did it. So,
well, how would they pay the fine if they couldn't even afford the ticket in the first place?
Exactly.
What is it? Lord. Okay.
Yeah. So, we read them, their rules and regulations, and they'd be like, it's just a traffic ticket. And we're like, we understand that, but you are on probation. So therefore we got to treat you like regular probationers. And that office also had different type of probation going on. So you had misdemeanors that was in there. Then you had like it was a superior court, all this. It was a mixture of everything in this one office. We had DV cases, child support cases. It was a whole bunch of stuff going on in this one office, and we was just part of the traffic team.
Could these people just say, oh, I don't want to do this probation anymore, and they'll just take some jail time?
See, that's what, they was like, they didn't want them to do that because they didn't want them to have an influx of people in jail for traffic tickets. So they tried to X that option out and was like, how about y'all do the community service? So people like, well, I got full-time jobs, I can't make the community service. And it was like either you're gonna pay this ticket or you're gonna do the community service, or you just gonna go to jail. But they used to X the jail option out because they'd be like, well, just send me in there so I can get this over with, so I can get out. And our supervisors used to be like, no, don't let them do that option because the jail already overcrowded and we already got high probation cases. So let's not give them that option. Let's just keep the option of community service or making payments.
Bro, this system is so messed up.
I have so many questions. I feel like this is worse than our interview with Elaine. I feel like I just have so many more questions. Oh, sorry, Raina.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I have so many questions. Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
In Georgia, my understanding is, because I actually when I went through basic training for my department, I actually went through one of the girls in my class. She was a probation officer in Georgia. Now,
Okay.
in Georgia, I understand there's two different systems. There's a statewide Department of Community Supervision. I believe they only handle felonies. That's right.
Yeah, that's correct.
So if you're on felony probation, you get the Department of Community Supervision. I think they also handle parole cases.
Yes.
And then on the county level, there's a county probation that handles misdemeanor cases, right?
Right.
And that's the part of the system that you were involved in.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we got that straight down now. So in Georgia, so if you're looking to be a PO in Georgia, they got two different systems. Where I'm at is one system. We do probation, parole, felony, and misdemeanor. In Georgia, they got two separate systems. Okay. In Raquel's system, apparently, you run that stop sign, you getting probation, yo. Apparently that's a thing. That's not a thing where I'm at, but yeah. So traffic offenses, you can get probation. What's the amount of time? Like, how long are they on probation for these traffic offenses?
So it just depends on the judge. Like most of the cases was like 18 months. Like some of them will be like 6 months, and even people that was on 6-month cases, like they really wouldn't do anything. And so at the last minute, they'll our supervisor be like, okay, why don't we just go ahead and take them back to the court to take them back to court. And we'll used to, because they used to like to micromanage a whole lot. So when what we thought was reasonable time to take them back, our supervisors used to be like, no, let's give them some more time. Maybe they might come back and change. And then like maybe when they have a month left before the case expired, and our supervisors be like, okay, let's get them into court now because we don't want the case to expire. And so it was like a lot of micromanaging, and they didn't want you to make decisions for yourself. They wanted you to come to them and ask them if this was okay. So
okay. All right, so we're going a little too fast. So slow down here. So all right, so I get a speeding ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have the option of either paying the speeding ticket or going to court, right? That's just usually how it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say I can't afford to pay it or I don't want to pay it, and then I go to court, right? And the judge says, nah, you did it. You sped, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, then what happens?
So then at that point, the judges is automatically going to send them to probation because they either they can't pay it or they don't want to pay it. So judge automatically going to send them to probation.
All right, so if the judge finds me guilty of speeding and I say I want to pay it, I can just pay it and be done, right?
Yeah, you can do that too.
Time. Okay. And if I can't afford to pay it, then they go ahead and put me on probation with you.
Yes.
Okay. For about 6 months ish.
6 months, yeah. Sometimes they had a year. Very rare at 2 years.
All right. So let's say I got a year. So within that year, what exactly am I expected to do in that year while I'm on probation with you?
So you are expected to report to the office every month. So say I'm your officer. Yes. So
oh my God.
So you report
to Georgia, y'all. Don't speed in Georgia, y'all. Don't do it. Don't do it. Wait till you get to South Carolina or Florida, but don't speed in Georgia. You're gonna get probation. Oh, I've never heard. That's crazy. Brittany, is this crazy to you? I gotta come see you and report to you once a month. Okay.
She said it's just like regular probation, Chris.
Yo, tell me this ain't crazy though.
I've been saying that for the past 20 minutes. I know.
Okay. All right, so I gotta come see Raquel once a month. What else?
Yes. So if you have any if it depends, like if the judge sentenced you to community service, then you have to do those required community service hours. So
do you help me set those hours up?
So I help you set your hours up. Okay. We had like a list of approved locations that we would send them to because a lot of places in Georgia didn't accept the community service. So this agency actually put a list together. So we would go through a list, basically give them 5 places on a piece of paper and have them sign and say that they would contact these 5 places because they have the information and address, and see if they can, or see when they could start their community service hours.
So is the community service in lieu of me paying the fine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. All right. What else I gotta do? So I gotta come see you. I
Yeah,
gotta do some community service. What else I gotta do?
You just gotta keep me updated on what's going on in your life. If you're working, where you're working at, what you're doing.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
And
drug test me?
sometimes, huh?
Do you drug test me?
No. So if it's not a special condition on your probation, then no, we don't do it. We only did that if it was listed. If it wasn't listed, then no.
Okay. So I'd be like, if my traffic offense was related to some kind of drug usage, then the judge might say, well, I want you drug tested, something like that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you ain't got drug testing. All right. You coming to my house?
No, because in traffic division, we were not required to be certified officers, but the office itself had certified officers, but traffic division wasn't one of those officers that were certified. So even though they were sending people to the academy to go out and do house calls, they really wasn't sending us in traffic division because they basically was like there was no real need for us to be certified.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to be certified?
Yes, because that was the exciting part of going out and being hands on. But this department
Did it ever happen?
operated differently. And then when they were going to send us, they actually canceled out our class because they had a police class that needed to go. So they took the 5 of us out that were going and replaced us with the police class because they had more people, more officers.
For the traffic division, do you need a bachelor's degree?
Yep.
That's interesting. How's the pay rate in comparison to the other departments?
So the salary starting off was at 40,000. I don't know how the other departments, because pretty much all of them was pretty much around the same. Because I looked at felony, and felony started off at 39, and then this one here was at 40. So it's pretty much the same thing.
I feel like that's good because you don't have to do too much. You don't have to do too much, and you get the same salary as them when they have to go to people's houses and all this other stuff.
Right.
Chris, what you think about that?
I guess for that kind of probation, it seems appropriate. That's like the lower than lower level. There's like different levels. There's low risk offenders, and I feel like these traffic offenses are even lower than that. So I guess that makes sense. I don't think it's crazy, but
that's a pretty cool job. That's a good option for people who don't want to be hands-on.
You're just in the office.
Pretty much, yeah. So you're just in the office all day. The only time I wasn't in the office was when I had to go do jail court, and jail court was actually at the local jail. And so I would go over there from 11 to 12, and if they had anybody that was sentenced to probation from jail, then I signed them up, explained them their rules and regulations, and they had, once they got out of jail, they had 24 hours to report to the main probation office to get them situated on the probation, so they understood what it was that they were required to do while they was on probation.
So what's like a regular day? A regular day for you when you were doing traffic probation?
So a regular day would be me reporting to the office at 8:30. If I had files that I had to go through, I went through them. I would write notes in my computer. If anybody called me and whatever we talked about, it would be noted in the computer. But I would basically just be going through probation, or going through these files, going through files, calling people that have not been reporting to the office, and basically asking them like what's going on, and I'm gonna need you to report to the office. And most of the time, they used to be like, well, no one's contacted me, so that's why I'm not reporting. I'm like, well, it's your responsibility to report whether someone's contacted you or not. And then they used to always used to be like, well, the officer before you always told me that if I was in good standing with my probation and paying, I didn't have to come to the office. And I was like, well, according to what you signed on and your conditions, it was required that you report once a month. So therefore you have to report once a month. So that's pretty much what I did, like pretty much the whole day until 11 o'clock. I would go to jail court, be over there from 11 to 12, then go back to the office, and pretty much just do that or close out cases. But pretty much that was pretty much it.
How did that make you feel?
You sound like you counseling her.
Look, I used to go to work.
Sorry, it's hard to turn the PO hat off. It's hard. It's hard.
Oh no, I totally understand. So I mean, I used to go to work and just do what I have to do, and I kept a smile on my face, and I did what was required, and tried to help out. But yeah, it was stressful.
What was the caseload size?
Oh my goodness, our caseload was like, I know mine was like 1,500, and this was split. Yes.
Did you say 1,500?
Yeah.
1500, and there's a comma in there somewhere.
Yes, and it probably was even higher than that, but yes.
Okay.
And we had 5 people in this division, and all our numbers was in the same.
Riddle me this. How do you see 1,500 people in a? If they ever see you once a month, how do you see 1,500 people in a month?
It's impossible. It's impossible.
So the system is built on you not actually seeing them.
Pretty much, to be honest, yes. Pretty much. So a lot of people cases were expiring because it's only 5 people that's in a division. So all 5 of us trying to handle our own caseload, that was just impossible. And the supervisors knew it was impossible, but they wanted to work like we was just this phenomenal team getting things done, knowing that we had more cases expiring than people that was actually coming to the office. And they used to always be like, well, we need the office to have people. So it got to a point basically on our report days, our main lobby office would be so full of people that they would have to wait downstairs before they could come up because the office was just so overflowing with people reporting, people who would normally report, plus the people they had told us to send letters to come and report to the office. So it was just an overflow and overcrowding of people, pretty much.
1,500.
Yes.
Is there like a violation process? Like if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, like how does that work?
So basically, if they're not doing what they're doing, you'll do a revocation hearing, which basically is paperwork that's to the judge, and basically all it's saying is they've been sentenced to probation for 12 months. You'll put that they were sentenced back in August 2019, and they were sentenced on probation for 12 months, and nothing's been done. And this is their requirement, or this is their special conditions of probation, and that's pretty much it. And so, but you get that. So our supervisor asked us to try and get them into court in the next 2 weeks if they wasn't doing anything. That's because they waited till the last minute to send them back to court. So they wanted to wait till their probation was almost over, then send them back to court because they're not doing anything. And then most of the time, the judge would be like, well, probation is pretty much over. Why are y'all waiting so late to send them back to court? So most of the time, the judge would close out the case so they could just be done with the probation, even if they didn't do anything.
Did you have these extremely low risk people that do end up catching like serious charges? That's something that would like affect their traffic probation? Like, I had him off for speeding, but he just got caught for trafficking heroin.
Yes. So there was this one guy that was on my case. He was on my case for a traffic ticket, but he ended up getting into something, and so he ended up with a 1st-degree murder charge. And so in that case, the case was taken from me because there was like, it's a whole nother case now. It's a whole nother ball game. So another officer that was over that type of charge, right, would the case would be transferred from traffic to whoever the officer was that was over the those type of charges.
Did you ever consider going over to the Department of Community Supervision so you can actually do like real probation work?
Yes. So actually, before I got on with them, I was actually had a start date for felony probation, but I was working at the sheriff's office, at the Cap County Sheriff's Office, and for whatever reason, there was a supervisor that did not care for me, but she didn't even know me because I'm not from Georgia. Didn't even know me, but she just didn't like me from out the gate. So when their chief probation officer called and asked her for a recommendation, I don't know what exactly was said, but they basically just took the start date back and told me to go talk with my training supervisor. And yeah, so.
All right, so now we're back in Louisiana, and so how exactly does the probation parole system in Louisiana work?
Okay, so in Louisiana, you have to take the civil service test. The passing scores on civil service test is 70 to 100%. Like the lowest is 70, and the highest is 100. So once you pass that test, you can apply on the government website, and you can search probation, and jobs that are available or that's posted will pop up and set you up your application that's online on the government site. And once you do that, then they'll let you apply for jobs. And then once you apply, you just wait for, I guess, the civil service that's over the application process. So I guess you wait for them to basically verify if you taken the test, because if you apply and don't take the test, your application is automatically going to be denied. So they're going to make sure you take the test first and then make sure you have a passing score. And then from there, I'm assuming they send your application to that agency. And then I know in my situation, the agency never called. They just sent the email. So my first email was basically the email saying that I had to pass an agility test. And they sent me basically a risk assessment form, basically saying that they're not liable if anything happens to you while taking the agility test, and that you're in good shape to take the test. And basically it was a bunch of questions pertaining to probation, like would you be able to take someone's life if you were if you were in immediate danger? Are you in good shape? Just basic questions like that. Like it was, yeah. And then it also told you that you'll be in the academy for like 12 weeks, I think it said.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be 12 weeks.
Yes, I think that's what I read was 12 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow, that's pretty long. Okay. All right. So did you do the agility part already?
Yes. So I already did the agility. Okay. So basically we had to run a mile and a half in 17 minutes and 40 seconds. And you had to do a minimum, well, you had to do as many push-ups you could do in a minute as possible. And then the same thing with sit-ups. You have to do however many sit-ups you could do in a minute. I didn't know what the minimum or what the maximum was, so I just did what I did. And then, of course, the run, it was, you have to come in before either right at or before 17 minutes and 40 seconds. And so once you finish everything, they basically told you that they'll send you an email letting you know if you pass, because there was like the required percentage is 20% to actually pass all 3 categories. And so they said that they take all 3 of your scores and I guess they add them all up and divide them. So you needed at least 20% in each category to go on to the next step. So maybe they waited like 2 days and they emailed you back and let you know if you passed or if you didn't pass.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that I'll never be a PO in Louisiana because I am on cap. You see the way my left knee is set up. I ain't making none of that. That's crazy.
Gotcha.
Okay. So are you guys are they considered law enforcement officers down in Louisiana, like full blown law enforcement, like full blown police?
So I'm assuming they're considered full blown police only because I know the academy that they have you go through is a police academy.
Okay.
From what I understood from the interview, they say that it's a police academy that they would be sending us to.
Are you excited, Raquel?
Yes, I am, because I really just enjoyed it in Georgia, even though I know it's going to be totally different from Georgia experience and now, but I am very excited because it's just what I wanted to really do. And I got the opportunity again to do it, so I'm very excited.
And so they do carry, right?
Yes, they do. I'm not sure what they carry because when I was going to ask them in the interview, I think there was on like a time frame. I guess I was asking too many questions. So yeah.
Do you personally carry?
No, I don't. And so yeah. But I'll be working since I know I'll be going to the academy. I'll be working towards getting myself together with that.
Okay.
Raquel, in Louisiana, is it a state system where it's probation, parole, everything, felony, misdemeanors, all in one agency? Or is it like it was back in Georgia?
So I'm assuming that it's all in one agency only because I know the supervisor was like, will y'all be having special projects? So she was like, we'll rotate the special projects. She didn't say what the special projects were, but I know for sure that they go out in the field and do other stuff. So it's just a total difference.
Okay.
So how long would you say from the time that you applied to the time that you were offered the position? How much time was that?
So let's see. So about 5 months.
Wow.
What was the civil service exam like?
Basically, it's a lot of math, like simple math, reading comprehension, vocabulary, grammar, and I want to say it's like 100 questions, maybe a mixture, maybe.
Is this something that any high school graduate could pass?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Like they like to overhype the civil service test up and say that it's this really extreme hard test, but in honesty, it's really nice. It's just I guess they just hype it up to have people nerves bad, but any high school any high school student could definitely pass it and be just fine.
Okay.
That's good to know. All right, so you said it's a 12-week academy, and so on your start date, do you go straight to the academy or do you go to wherever your assigned office is going to be?
Okay, so I'm going to go to the assigned office only because they told me that the academy right now, they stopped it for the rest of the year due to COVID because they said they started one at the beginning of the year and most of the people that was there ended up with COVID. So they stopped. Oh, no. They stopping it. Huh?
I said, oh no.
Yeah, so they said they had just stopped it and they said they're going to restart it at the beginning of next year. And they said most likely January, but I guess it's still pending. So
you talking about January 2022?
Yes.
So what you gonna be doing for the whole year?
I don't know. I guess we're gonna see office work, maybe. I don't know.
She probably doing paperwork or something, filing motions.
Right.
I know most states, like in my department, if you're waiting to go to basic, there isn't really much you can do because they let you shadow, they let you sit in on office appointments. I think they even let you do some field work with a certified officer, but a lot of it is just kind of sitting around, just kind of waiting. And I can't
No,
imagine
I'm
having
pretty
to
sure
do
they're
that
gonna be
until
working.
January.
You can still do risk assessments and stuff like that, Chris. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know, because most of the time you really can't be be alone with an offender if you're not certified,
Yep.
because that's a liability. Because if the offender acts out, you don't got the training to do nothing. You ain't got no strap. You can't do nothing.
Exactly.
you don't need a gun.
I'm not arguing in that. I'm not gonna argue with you on that one. You're right. You don't need a gun, but it's nice to have,
Oh my gosh, we're not
because you
even
just
going
never
there. We're
know.
not
Because
going
you
there
just
today.
never know. You just never know.
I'm gonna let you make it today.
Okay. Y'all see, I won today, y'all.
Yup.
Mark this day down.
Too
So you
funny.
ready to get back? So is community supervision what you see yourself doing for the rest of your life?
Yes, I do. Just because I'm like really just so passionate about people. Like I'm just a people's person. I'm just passionate about people.
Since you have a master's, have you considered trying to go feds?
Actually, I have, and I had applied with New Orleans Feds because they was hiring, but they never sent anything back. So I was like, well, maybe let me just stick with the state probation for a couple of years, and then try to go back and see if maybe they might consider me.
Okay, that's a good move. That's where that's where the money is. I'll tell you that one.
Oh, I know. I had seen it. And then
Oh
I had
man.
actually reached out. Well, I didn't know she was a federal probation officer. But I had reached out to her to ask her about her experience, but she was like, I just hate it. I hate it so much. So yeah, so I was like, well, I can't really use your review because we got two different views here.
Did she say what she hated about it?
No, she did not. She
Who is
just
she?
said that she just did not, that she just hated it. And then she said she had a husband that was working in the same field, and he didn't like it either. So I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry
Who's
to
the
hear
lady
that.
that you're talking about?
He said, who's the lady? Her name is Chelsea. I'm gonna have to get her last name, but I know her first name for sure is Chelsea, and she works in the office out in Mississippi Gulfport, I think. She said,
This is just someone that you saw online.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. And you
yeah,
just
yeah,
reached
yeah.
out to them.
And I just reached out to her because we was in a group, and so she posted that she was a federal probation officer. I was like, oh, let me just reach out and ask her a few questions about the process
What
and
kind of group?
how she likes it.
I'm nosy.
It's a mom's group.
Oh, okay, not a probation group.
No, it's not a
Okay,
probation group. It's just a mom's group. But she just happened to put in the group that she was a federal pro. Oh, it was an introduction post, and they was asking everybody what their job titles were, and that's how I seen it, and so I reached out.
gotcha.
So
Yes.
so here's the thing about feds. When I worked in Westmoreland County juvenile probation, we actually had an adult probation officer that ended up leaving us and got hired to work to be federal. And he went to the feds, and I want to say within like less than 6 months, he ended up coming back to the county adult probation.
Oh wow.
And when I asked him about it, I was like, dude, why would you leave? He was like, yeah, it was nice. The money was nice. He's like, it was definitely more money, but he said it was very boring because they didn't, and it was very let's say like a 2 or 3 on a 2 hat scale, and he didn't like that. Coming from the county level where it's more hands-on, they're doing searches, they're doing activities with the police, they're doing more compliance checks and enforcement stuff. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
doing that on the federal level. And he said, I just couldn't. He was like, yeah, the money was nice, but he's like, I was just bored and I just couldn't do it. And for his personality, I would say, yeah, that probably was a good move for him to come back because he is
Mm-hmm.
more go-getter, wants to get out there in the streets type person.
Thank you, Raquel, for joining us today on this episode. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media.
And y'all can follow me on Instagram at love on high. So that's love underscore on underscore high on Instagram.
And make sure you follow us too. Raquel, do you follow us on Instagram?
Yes, I do.
We thank you for being a family member here on the Two Hats podcast. We appreciate you being a supporter. I know me and you've been talking about getting you on this episode for a minute now. So we're
Yes,
actually pretty excited that's finally happened. And I know the family is gonna have a lot to say in the comments about this traffic probation in Georgia. And we definitely can't wait to have you back on after you go through your 12-week academy, and you can tell us all about it.
Yes, I cannot wait to update you all and let you all how it's going down in New Orleans area. So thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, you be safe out there.
I sure will. And same to y'all.
Thank you, Raquel. That was a very interesting take. And we learned something new today, which is what Chris and I love the most about doing these podcast episodes. Like, who is going to get 12 months of probation for a traffic ticket? That is insane.
Somebody in Georgia. That's who.
That is crazy. I'm so glad we got to interview her and learn a little bit more about that. But we definitely need to get her back on when she gets more experience in her new role in Louisiana.
Yeah,
I want you guys to. I want to
hear about that 12-week academy. That's what I want to hear about. 12 weeks.
That's long.
Yes.
So please, guys, follow us on Instagram at Two Hats Podcast. We will be having a new episode next week. We upload episodes every Wednesday, so stay tuned. Join the family. Also, follow me, your favorite PO, on Instagram, and Chris, the Tactical Probation Officer.
And make sure you follow at your favorite PO on YouTube also, because there's some pretty good episodes on there, including some interviews with ex-probationers. So I thought those are pretty good ones too. Actually, some interviews with me. So if you ever want to listen to those are pretty good too. But make sure you guys follow us. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts. Allegedly, we're on Apple too. Allegedly, I'm going to get confirmation on that. So if y'all ever hear that we're on Apple's podcast, shoot us a comment, let us know. But allegedly, that's what I heard, that we were on there too. So, hey, we appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there.